Okay, just got the live stream sorted out, just making sure the sound is working correctly. So we are at Wellington in New Zealand, and we are going to go and take the F28 for a flight. So I will be working through the checklist. So let's go, and so apologies for not taking part in the live stream chat for a few minutes. I'm just going to go and get the airplane fired up so we can actually get on our way. So I'm going to follow the keyboard to do this rather than using the head tracker, but we will try the head tracker out during the flight. So Control 8 takes us overhead, electrical power section. Battery goes to the up position. So I have to try and remember now how this all works. I've only done it once or twice on the day this came out. So then back further overhead, Controller 9. We're now looking for the APU section, second column at the top, that's up here. And we turn main to on. And then we go to the air conditioning and turn left main to on. Then we go to the APU section. We have to wait for at least 10 seconds. That's probably 10 seconds since we did that. Press the APU start button and we can watch the RPM gauge up here and the turbine gas temperature. So we wait for this to get to 100%. And then once it's done so, we can go and turn on Gen 3 by dragging the switch. Then put the bleed air to on. So then down to the central pedestal, so Control 7 brings us down here. Master radio section, which is down here. Then back overhead, Control and 8, emergency exit lights. Emergency exit to armed middle setting, so that's here. Windshield heating. So we're going to go over to windshield heating and put them both on low. Cabin altitude section. So I'm not sure what altitude we're going to be flying at, to be honest. So this is preset for 18,000 feet. We're probably going to get nowhere near that, so we're probably going to set it for 12. Which means that we won't be pressurizing the cabin, basically. Yeah, so it's got a minimum look of 18. So we'll just line that up for 0. Eyebrow panel in the middle, no smoking to on. So if we press F and look up here, we've got the no smoking sign and the fasten seatbelt sign. Master control panel, Control and 2. So nav 1 to on and DME mode. So nav 1 and nav 2 to DME mode. Flight director, mode selector to heading. Heading as required. So let's go and have a look at the heading bug down here. So take off from Wellington. We'll just have a quick look at LittleNavMap. We're going to take off heading south. So we'll be 160 degrees. So we're going to modify the heading bug down here to 160 degrees, ready for takeoff. So we'll just spin it around the outside of the HSI down here. It's about 160. So let's set the pitch command to 10 degrees. So you can see that happening. You can see the flight director moving. So on the course section, set the nav 1 and nav 2 courses. We're just going to be using heading mode today. We're not going to be doing anything special. So calibrate the altimeter. So that's done. You can see that's happened. Calibrate the HSI. That's done. So set the altitude pre-selector to our initial climb altitude. I'm going to leave it on 10,000 feet for the moment. Center pedestal, Control 7. in the lights section we're going to put, so I have to scoot forwards a little bit, I'd forgotten this, so nav light goes to on. ATC transponder section, middle on the right, so transponder is here. Set it to standby and squawk mode to C. And we prepare for the engine start. So we go and look at the tablet, we go to the aircraft section and we can remove the chocks, just make sure I've got the parking brake on. I have. So control and 3 takes us over to the engine gauges, and we have to set the thrust index, so that's this knob at the bottom left. And if we look over here, does it give us the numbers for it? I don't think it does it? It's just the speeds. But we can click on this, which will set the where is it? We'll set the markers on the indicated airspeed. So obviously if you're doing a proper flight and you're not just going to wing it like I'm going to today, then you would be interested in setting those more accurately. So control 7 takes us down to the pedestal. We can remove the gust lock and anti-collision top and bottom to on. So if we scoot, this is very difficult with these views, anti-collision top and bottom go to on. So control and 6, boost pumps go to on, forward and aft for the left and right engines, and then back overhead. Master starter goes to on or up. So then we turn the, or we switch, sorry, move the selector. We'll do engine number 2 first. So just hold it for a second there. Engine number 2 starts to spin up. We can see this happening here. So when it gets to about 15%, we can advance the fuel valve to start. When it gets to 50%, we can advance it to all the way forwards. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to have a quick look in on the live stream chat. So Baggio is saying got him up to speed with the PMDG. I haven't flown that for a while. I ought to have another go in it. I've flown the 737 a lot historically, even before Flight Sim, because it's very similar to the Zebo mod 737 in X-Plane. Okay, so that will do that engine, and now we can go, where was it? I'm getting lost now in amongst the switches. Here we go. It's further overhead than you think. Starter for engine number 1. See it coming up. So that's gone through 15%, so we can move it on to start. While we're here, should we go and turn the weather radar isn't actually operative in this aeroplane, but keeps us busy while we're waiting for this, doesn't it? So typically this should get to 50% of this at the same sort of time as this goes through 400 degrees. Okay, so we've got the engines up and running, so start master can go to off. APU section Gen 3 to off, and air to off. We can now turn on the air conditioning on the right hand system, and then go to control 8. and go to the engine anti-icing and put them both on auto, or the down position. Windshield heating is already on low. pitot and vane heating both can go up. So we're essentially ready to prepare for taxi. So let's go and set the flaps to 18 degrees. So that's 18, and we can monitor flap movement over here. So if we zoom in on that, so set the trim as required, usually 5 units of nose up, so it's exactly on that already, so that's fine. Taxi light to on, so control 7 brings us in here, and taxi light is here, goes to extended and then on, and we can taxi to the runway at this point. So as you can see, I've not done a pushback and I've started the engines ahead of schedule, which is a minor thing, but pretty common thing to have happen in the simulator, to be honest. So let's go and have a look. So we need to taxi out to the left, basically, so up that way. So we'll just wait for the truck to engage, then we'll release the parking brake and let the plane roll backwards. Okay. Parking brake back on, just wait for the truck to get out of the way. Just checking out the live stream comments. It's always interesting to see what people are chipping in. Usually it's becoming really interesting that lots of people now are getting used to the sim and are having all sorts of fun with it. Just clear the warning out. You have to be careful turning this because it will do gimbal lock quite easily. It's early in the morning in New Zealand. So shall we turn the head tracking on now, just for the taxi out? They're very busy here today, aren't they? There's several planes queued up, look. Now, are they real or are they... Let's have a look. Yeah, they're real. Oh, are they? I turned AI aircraft on recently for the first time in a while, so I think it's just the AI aircraft, to be honest. So hopefully by the time we get up there, they'll have taken off. It's quite a misty morning, isn't it? Apologise for the camera moving around, I'm drinking a cup of coffee. The head tracking doesn't like it. I think I came out to the runway a bit early, didn't I? So I'll just wait for a minute for him to clear the runway. I'll turn off head tracking while I sip my coffee. So, while we're here, let's go and have a quick look down here. We need to go and put the transponder to on. We need to go and turn the landing lights on. And, well, they're down here, aren't they, on this aircraft? I keep forgetting this. It's very different layout to lots of other airplanes in the simulator. And the strobes need to go on as well. Done the weather radar. Okay, so we're ready to go basically. So off the parking brake.
Power set. 80 knots.
Should we put the head tracking back on there?
Flaps 11. Flaps up.
It's a bit foggy, isn't it? So,
Set climb power.
So flaps are up, gear is up. I'm just going to go and turn on the autopilot. So we'll put the yaw damper on. Autopilot on. Go for heading mode. So the initial direction we want to go today is going to be 248 degrees over to Nelson. So we're just going to do some practicing basically of flying around. So let's go and set the heading bug to 248. So we should be able to use the VOR at Wellington for our reference as well. So 112.30. So 112.30. and that is reflected on the course, and obviously the course needs to be 248 as well, or thereabouts. So we will spin this round. We're going far too quickly. It's going to slow us down to 250 knots. While we were busy looking at the radios, we were busy accelerating, which is not a great idea. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to give us... I'm not sure LittleNavMap gives you... Oh, transition altitude 13,000 feet, okay. So we're not at transition yet, so we just keep our levels the same. Right, I'm going to go and reprogram the view keys because I hate the way the default works in Flight Simulator. As part of setting up the Tobii, I had to go and reset my keyboard profile. But one of the things that did is change the views. So you've got move up. I'm going to change that to clear current and make it alt up. See, at the moment it's saying translate cockpit view forward. So we'll validate what we've got. So alt up will move up. And then we want to search by name, so get rid of that. Move down. And we'll change that to alt down. Validate. And then we'll search for translate. Translate view forward and backwards. So where it was alt up before, I'm going to change it to up and validate that. And where it was alt down before, I'm going to change that to just down. The reason for doing all of this is it will then make it a lot easier for me to do this, to move around the cockpit, he says. That's interesting. Okay, so I've probably got a mapping that's still there that shouldn't be. So if we go and was it move up? Is alt and up. Move down. Alt and down. Translate. Up and down. Okay, so if we search by input and just do up, interesting. And if we search by input and put down, decrease cockpit view height. Clear. Current input. Validate. So if we go to view height in here, see what increase cockpit view height, we will clear. Validate. And then if we apply that, go back, resume, we should find, yeah, there we go. So that's TCAS that's telling us about this aircraft. Is that it's an AI aircraft? Okay, so we can have a look now at the simulator. So Von Doodle says, "Hi, my sister lives in Nelson, so it should be there on Sunday in a TVM 930. Running 8K textures can throw an OOM on a 24 gigabyte. What's that got to do with me flying the plane?" Sunbat has said, "Hey Jonathan, how's the Fokker treating you? Is it worth the trouble of learning it?" It's very good. So I like it. So we're up to 6,000 feet. Now coming into Nelson, I guess, just looking at the wind at Nelson, 107, so it's coming in from the south, so we're going to go round the peninsula. So what we will do is go altitude hold, which is height mode. And we're going to go about 30 degrees off to the right. We may need to go a bit higher when we get closer, but for the moment we're good. Okay, let's go and increase the throttle a bit. I mean, okay, we're below 10,000 feet, but we're only doing about 220 knots at the moment, so we'll push it out to 250. I think the thing I like most about the Fokker is that it's old school. So you can influence the flight director up here, but that's not actually going to control the aeroplane. This controls the aeroplane. So this is really just advice. It's an interesting one. Yes, it's VRR navigation all the way with this aircraft. So should we go and switch the head tracking back on? Hello! Let's check everything's looking good overhead. It's good to me. We're obviously still below 10,000 feet, so the landing lights are staying on. They're down here. The boost pumps are on. Anti-collision lights on, strobes on, navs on. Very good. Should we see what else is in the tablet? So we can have a GPS if we really want one. But I don't think you can guide with it. So what other options have we got in here? So if we turn the GPS navigation on, it replaces the weather radar over here, and it will boot up in a moment, so you get a GNS 530. But as far as I'm aware, it's not hooked up to the autopilot, because if you look up here, there is no mode for that. I guess it might be implemented. I've not tried it. I don't know if you can leave it in GPS, go on beam mode and use it, but I think it just gives you your position, to be honest. So I'm going to turn it off. What else have we got in the tablet then? So Navigraph charts, operational flight plan if we're using Simbrief. That was the aircraft tab we were looking at. There's a moving map which I think just uses open topo maps or something. So we're going to fly over the top of the headlands here. See, we're making our way over, and then we'll come in down towards Nelson. Should be good fun. I'm just going to turn the head tracking off for the moment. So what information can we get from Nelson? Let's go and have a look at COM. ATIS 12910. So if we go down to the COM radio, 12910. Okay, so we'll turn back in. So Vickers Vacate is saying, do I have any issues with VOR mode? Well, should we try it? So if we were to go, let's say we wanted to come in, we'll draw this diagram on the map. Say we wanted 200 degrees magnetic into 113.10. Let's try it. I've not tried it, so 113.10. Course 200. If I can dial it in. So there's the VOR. So what it may be is that you have to be within one dot usually on lots of other of these systems. As soon as the CDI gets within one dot, it will usually capture. So we'll see what happens. So obviously we're flying on an intercept angle at the moment. Yeah, so you can see that happening. So we probably need to start descending as well. We're still at 6,000 feet. So we'll go pitch mode as well. And pitch down a little bit. Pitch down a bit more than that. It's funny, I had this happen the other day. I wonder if it's connected. I wonder if you have to set this to a low altitude. It's falling off now, look. So maybe there is some element of that to it. You have to set the pre-selector, you can't just go for pitch mode. Though we're still not coming down in a hurry. We are now. 1,000 feet a minute, that'll do. So, is the CDI coming in yet? So we should find, if this works how I think it will, we can do heading and beam mode at the same time. And then it will switch to beam mode when it gets within 1 dot. So if we keep an eye on that. Be interesting to see it happen. So here comes the CDI. Let's see at what point the heading light goes out. So obviously it won't perform. Yeah, it's gone out, look, it's captured the beam and it's turning into it. Or it's straightening up, sorry. So it was just before 1 dot. So as long as it won't perform wonders, obviously, you have to put it on an intercept course. But as long as you're within 1 dot on the CDI, it will capture. So hopefully that solves your question. Yeah, beam mode means the aircraft is going to follow the radial that we're tuned into. So we've got a course at 200 degrees, follow it into 11310, which is the VOR down here. So there's the 200 degree line, look. So the beam mode means the autopilot has captured the 200 degree radial. So the CDI reflects that on the HSI. So the bar in the middle, as soon as it got within those central 2 dots, or in the ballpark of that dot, then it went into beam mode. We had beam mode pre-selected and it wasn't doing it, it was following the heading. But as soon as it captured, it went purely to beam mode. Okay, so can we see an airport in front of us somewhere? There it is there. So let's come off the autopilot. I keep forgetting you're not allowed to do that in this aeroplane. So I'm going to lift the nose, throw the spoilers out. I'm throwing the spoilers out in order to get the undercarriage down. So though it looks like a bit of a strange thing to do, so the buzzer we're getting is because of the configuration. So what I've got is spoilers out, the flaps out, the gear down, so I can come down incredibly steeply. That's why I raised the nose, to get the speed down so I could configure the aircraft for a very steep descent. So I can now take the spoilers out. So obviously now we can just go visually with the lights on the end of the runway if we can see them. They're slowly resolving. So if we straighten our view up, we'll move a little bit back in the cockpit. So yeah, it's saying we're going too slow.
Speed.
It doesn't like going slower than about 140 knots on approach. Or 130-ish. So obviously we're too high at the moment, so let's just let the nose fall and keep an eye on the lights. So we should get 2 whites and 2 reds on the PAPI lights when we are on the glide slope.
Speed. Speed.
We have 1 red light,
Speed.
2 red lights.
Feet to minimum. Minimum.
It's a bit of a hump in the runway here, isn't there? Okay, let's just have a look at the engines. Sort of looking fine. We're not going to stop, are we? On the brakes. We were right on the limit there because I held it off the runway to get a smooth landing. It really pushed us to the end. It's a short runway here anyway, so we're just going to taxi back round, configure for takeoff and go again. So flaps back to 18. Have a nosy at Nelson while we're here. So really this runway is a bit short for this aeroplane, but we managed it. But really I should have put it down a bit more firmly earlier on the runway, which would have given us more room to brake. But yeah, like I said, very short runway. Okay, so departing from Nelson, we will want about 200 degrees then on the heading, in order that we can go into heading mode, you know, seamlessly. So once we get on the runway, I'll put on the parking brakes and we'll get the airplane set up, ready to go. Okay, parking brakes. So where's the heading bug at the moment? It's at 230-ish. So we want it on 200 degrees, which is the runway direction. It was 199, wasn't it, or something? Anyway, here we go again.
Power set.
It's about time. We're going to take the lights out otherwise. Flaps up. And set engines for climb.
Set climb power.
Haha, got there before you. So I'm just going to trim it this time to fly out. I'm using the guide, the 10-degree climb guide on the flight director, which is literally all the flight director is in this aircraft. It's a guide for you to align the autopilot to it manually because it predates them being connected. So we're coming out about 3,000 feet a minute, which is absolutely fine. So which way do we want to go? 227 degrees. So if we get the autopilot back on, it will go to roll mode and pitch mode, which is fine. And then we'll go heading mode. We wanted 227. So let's spin this round to about a little bit more, just to get us back on track. We give it a bit more power. So we are now heading off towards Westport, which is 78 miles away. So if we pull it up, do we get the... Oh, that's a shame. New Zealand doesn't have the altitude data in the simulator. I think it's typically about 10,000 feet to clear the big hills in the South Island. So we'll get rid of that. That's no use to us today. So we're just coming up through 9,000 feet. We're going to go for height mode in a moment. And the landing lights can come off because we're above 10,000 feet now, and we can actually accelerate out beyond 250 knots as well. So if we set this to just out of interest, can we cycle that to get it to capture the current altitude we're at? I think we can, yeah. So we need to keep an eye now on the indicated airspeed. Obviously you can see it's accelerating hard. Now we're not climbing. And you can see how far away we are now from Nelson as we race off across the landscape. So let's pull those throttles back. Wondering what it takes to stop it decelerating. Seems to be about right. So about 85% on the throttles then. Okay. Obviously we're not in a suitable livery for New Zealand, but doesn't really matter. So we've still got a light on at the nose. Let's have a look. Taxi light is still on, isn't it? So over to Westport. So there's no radio beacon out this way. What's the range on the Nelson one? If we come in here, I'm just going to move that out of the way. 130 miles. So we'll still have the range on this, even all that distance out. We'll just use heading mode. Lee says, evening Captain Beckett. Evening Lee. I'm just doing a bit of practicing with the F28, just doing, you know, approaches into one airfield after another, basically. Working my way down the island, on our way into Westport at the moment. Then down to Christchurch. I don't know how many of these legs we'll actually do, but probably finish at Christchurch, to be honest, because it'll be getting quite late by the time we get there. So again, we had problems stopping in time at Nelson, and the runway at Nelson was 4,300 feet, and that was even with well, the wind was pretty difficult, wasn't it? So on the ground at Westport, the wind is going to be 240 degrees, 5 knots. So let's go and draw the diagram to see what 240 looks like. So it's coming from that direction, yeah? So the wind's going that way. So we can come in runway 22 with a bit of a crosswind pushing us to the left on approach. Again, it's good that we've got headwind, but again, it's going to be dicey to stopping time. We'll see how we get on. We'll use everything available to us. We'll go reversers, we'll go spoilers, the whole bit. So Mike Coffee, yes, I saw it earlier. I was busy doing stuff at home though. I saw your group flight was on. Very well done. Yeah, so we'll be going max brakes, reversers, air brakes, the lot. Flaps out. Full flaps, yeah. It'll be good fun. While we're flying en route, let's just have a little look around and see what controls we actually do get in this aircraft to do things like that. We'll see. You're wondering about the cabins. You're going to have a look. We've got a couple of minutes. It's fully modelled to a ridiculous degree. Even that, you know, you can go and even to the point that this panel actually works and the controls for the doors work, and it's all animated, so you can turn all the handles. It's, yeah, it's crazy. the amount of effort they've gone to. Okay, so whereabouts are we? We're about 30 miles out. We're still at over 10,000 feet, aren't we? So should we start descending? We'll go back to pitch mode. I think from what we saw last time, it didn't want to descend until we started playing with this. I mean, you can use the indexer. Oh, that's the horn. We can get rid of that here. We can use the speed indexer down here and say, come in at, say, 250 knots. Go to IAS mode and just pull the throttles back. Obviously, I'm going to use the spoilers to get rid of some of that speed. Just have a look at the spoilers outside. They actually... Okay, why do I not have any spoilers arming? It's sort of working. So I might have a control configuration issue there. Have to look at it later. That would explain why I couldn't slow down in a hurry earlier. But we're coming down at 2,000 feet a minute, which is absolutely fine anyway. Yeah, we are going to need the spoilers out though. I wonder if it's related to airspeed that they won't extend too much. So I was looking at the coastline here, so the airport's over here somewhere. Going far too fast. Okay, I'm coming off the... Let's go and have a look outside and see what's happening with these spoilers. Oh, it is opening, yes, yeah, it's airspeed related. They won't extend at higher airspeeds. So you can see it's opening up now. So, just to the left of the nose. Looking for the runway. That's not it, is it? How close to the coast is it? Oh no, it's on this. The map doesn't really reflect what we're seeing, does it? Not very accurately anyway. Oh, here it is. I'm not interpreting the landscape very well today. So spoilers out. Just waiting for the speed to get below 200 knots to get the flaps down. I'm not sure that this one's going to have any lights on it, so we might not have much to go by. The spoilers are already out, flaps are down. At 50% throttle we're holding 130 knots. Let's straighten up with the runway, shall we? Oh, we do have lights. We got some... Is it Pappies or just Fassi lights? Looks like Fassis. So we're looking for one red, one white. This is going to be a bit dodgy if we can do a full stop here. So we've got one red, one white. Let's slow down if we can, get the warnings going off.
100 feet to minimum. Speed. Speed.
We're going to have to touch down earlier than the markers to get braking. That wasn't too bad at all, was it? So spoilers can come back on, flaps can come back up. We'll actually put them back to 18, I guess, ready for takeoff. And we'll go back down the other end of the runway and try our luck at taking off from this very short runway. We'll have to hold it on the brakes and go full throttle, I guess. Do like a military style short field. We're not going to turn in time, are we? Okay, taxi back down. Take advantage of the headwind, or the small amount of headwind looks like that we're going to get. Let's just double check then. Flaps are on 18 degrees, which is correct. Is there no FBO? What's an FBO? You have to remind me. Fixed base of operations. Okay, okay, so flaps are on 18 degrees, spoilers are up. Let's go for it. Off the brakes, full throttle, and we're rolling. This climbs well, doesn't it?
Set climb level.
Yeah, already done that. I'm ahead of him. So let's go and set this to heading bug mode. We want to turn this on first, don't we? So when you turn autopilot on, it goes for roll mode and heading. We want pitch, not height hold, and we want to climb out to about 12,000 probably to get over the hills. It's coming up to 250 knots. Let's push it on a bit more. And we want to go 136 degrees. So probably want 120 actually, just to get back onto track. So this will be the final leg tonight. We'll stop at Christchurch. I'll do some more later on in the weekend. Maybe take a different aeroplane and go and get the Comanche. We need to get altitude quickly, look, to get over the coming hills. Although this far north I don't think it's too bad. Once you get down into the southern ranges, they're a bit higher. Oh, we should have had the landing lights on, shouldn't we? Below 10,000. Completely forgot that. Then the whole point today is just to practice approaches, really. Just to get used to what the aeroplane does. The light that's on here. Oh, it's the APU, okay. Does that mean the APU is still on? I thought we turned it off. Whoops. Okay, we're just coming up to 10,000 feet. We'll get to... That's a good point, actually. Will this do... Oh, I suppose it would have to be in... Will it go to height mode when it hits the altitude pre-selector? Do we have to arm that somehow? Oh, that would be it, wouldn't it? I imagine. Let's see what happens when it gets to 12,000. So there's the klaxon for within, looks to be at 900 feet before the altitude pre-selector altitude. And yeah, it's winding out the vertical speed on approach to the altitude, or it seems to be. So we're now beyond 10,000 feet, so the landing lights can come back off. And we go zooming across the island. Got a little way to go, so I might go and make a quick coffee while we're on the route, but I need to make sure we don't overspeed on the way, so let's just pull the throttles back a bit. Did we say 85% earlier was a good level? Interesting, look at that, the variation in the thrust levels from the engines. Wonder why. So, although they're more or less the same though. Yeah. Maybe my throttle levers, oh yeah, my throttle levers aren't quite aligned with each other. I was just looking at the dials to see, you know, because some aeroplanes, with propeller aeroplanes, you get a vacuum gauge, so you can tell if the propellers are aligned with each other. Can I push that button? The mountains in New Zealand are always fascinating, aren't they? Look at that fog bank, or cloud bank I should say. So while we're doing this, let's go and have a look at Navigraph, which will give us the weather these days, won't it? We get an accurate radar plot. So that's not what we're doing. We are in New Zealand. So, new flight. Alright. Navigraph just had a mind of its own there, and it's done it again. What is going on? So we should find out that we can pull up. That's at radar's only going to show rain, isn't it? Not cloud. cloud cover. Well, that's not very accurate, because we can very clearly see a whole bank of cloud out here over the top of the mountains. Anyway, should we pull up the information on Christchurch? So I'm presuming we'll be coming in on the ILS, which will be good fun. So NZCH, so we should do this in here. It's NZCH, and we want the approach ILS runway 20. Awesome. So 196 degrees, 110.3. So let's go and do that. 110.3. And 196 degrees. So that's now configured the HSI. So we'll be looking to turn in. Let's look where we're going actually, make sure we're going to miss the hills. So altitude of the airfield at Christchurch is 123 feet. So we need to be about 2,700 feet when we make the turn in towards the feathers. So let's go and set that now. I'm basing that on the fact that usually for was it a 3-degree glide slope? Yes, it is. On a 3-degree glide slope, yeah, they're saying 2,000 feet. But typically it's 2,500 feet, because obviously they want you to come in from underneath the glide slope and hit it. You can't engage a glide slope if you're using approach mode, for example, from above. The aircraft will not descend into or most aircraft won't descend into a glide slope. So I'm guessing once this is in height mode, we can turn off the altitude hold and it will just maintain it anyway. There's some serious hills in it. In the north of England you'd call these tarns. I'm not sure what they call them in New Zealand. You get a lake in the top of a mountain. Let's have a look at the map. Are we still on target to do this? Yeah, we're looking good. So Once we get past this main range of mountains, we can start descending back down. Well, that's the plan anyway. Okay, so we should be able to start descending now. So we will. And go pitch mode and just watching the vertical speed here to set it. Coming down at 1,000 feet a minute. Speed's holding at 250. It looks like it's slowly accelerating actually, so let's pull it back a little bit more. We probably want to come down a bit more steeply than that, but how far have we got? We'll probably be alright. So, is the DME giving us anything yet? No, it hasn't connected yet. So we're going... This is the only thing I don't like about this aeroplane, is if we go and tune nav2 in... Oh, it should give us the numbers over there, shouldn't it? So the Christchurch VOR, 115.3, let's try it. Yeah, it's given us a distance, but I think the HSI reflects nav1, or reflects what's selected here. So we could, though, go and do that for the moment. Yeah, so these are now reflecting nav2. So we're looking to come in probably the course we're doing. So if we were to tune the HSI for nav2 round, you can see it's off our nose, about 30 degrees off, and we're about 40 miles out. So 40 miles to lose 9,000 feet at 1,000 feet a minute, that's absolutely fine. Oh, actually, we're going a bit steeper now. 1,500 feet a minute. Let's maybe dial that out a little bit. Oh no, it's back to 1,000. It's just moving around. So we've got ice detected. So what we're going to do is go and put on the... That's on auto. These are on low. But we're going to go and put these on. And obviously once this light comes off, we can go and turn those off again. Coming down to 8,000. Now look at this. So much for the weather radar not working, it's working. So, if we keep turning the course, it will tell us the offset to the Christchurch VOR. Obviously, we can go and switch back to Nav1 now and again and see if it's picked anything up yet, and it hasn't. Going a little bit fast. Should be below 250 knots, below 10,000 feet. Let's go and check the barometric pressure. 1018 or 30.06. And what have we got in the aircraft? Nothing like that. We want 3006. Now, is that synchronized across the cockpit? Yeah, it is. We're still getting ice detection, so I'm going to leave it on for the moment. Hopefully as we come down below the cloud level, we will get no ice detected. Then we can go and turn off the anti-ice. So yeah, I've just been surprised by that myself, Mike. Yeah, that's working. Maybe it's not working as it should, but beggars can't be choosers. So let's turn this round. We're 25 miles out now from the VOR, which is slightly behind the airfield, so we're probably about 24 miles out in reality. Let's turn the heading bug in a bit then. I'm just making the turn a bit shallower. So ice detector's gone out. Let's have a look at Nav1, and we have a signal. Hurrah! So 196 is the runway direction. We've got the CDI there. So as soon as that starts moving, we'll start turning the heading to match it. Should we try have a play with glide slope and beam mode? So if we go beam, it should capture it and turn in on its own. And we can go glide slope as well. The light hitting the cockpit isn't helping us. We can't see which ones we've pressed. But you can see down here, VOR lock and glide slope are enabled. I'm going too fast at the moment, so I'm going to pull the throttles back. So you can see the glide slope here, the marker for it. So I would be inclined to turn the heading bug a little bit in to help it out. Give it a bit shallower angle to work with. It will probably turn into a sharper angle towards the beam once it gets that. I'm going to use the spoilers to get the speed down below 250 knots. It's very reluctant to slow down. So we're at 2,700 feet. So we've leveled out. Speed is good. So now we're not descending. The speed should just ebb away slowly, which will be perfect. So we're just over 10 miles out on the ILS. The speed is slowly disappearing. So someone's saying, yeah, put the flight director in GS Auto and you'll get the display showing up, so the flight director will be guiding as well. But it won't actually impact the autopilot. It just gives you the visual indication here of what's going on. Okay, so we should see the vertical speed indicator affected in a moment. Put gear out. Comes the turn. There's the runway. Now, before we get there, should we just have a quick look? It's not offset, is it? No, it doesn't look like it. Just wanted to double check that. And how long is the runway? It's massively long. So we'll let it come in. We get it to a decision height though, this won't auto land. So we'll get to a few hundred feet and then take over. So I'm just putting the flaps down, which will lower the nose hopefully. Here's flaps 25. Right. So goes flaps 42 and increase the thrust to stop us falling out of the sky. So I'm going to switch off the autopilot now and just fly in myself. It's more fun. Give the wings a waggle. What's the point of having an aeroplane if you're not allowed to fly it? So just keeping an eye on, let's zoom this in slightly so you can see this down here. So we're getting a bit faster, so we'll sort that out. Going off to the left slightly, only a tiny amount. Going low. It's interesting that you can see we're off to the left, but the needle's not really representing that. And it would appear we're quite high. But the glide slope needle is saying we're low. So I'm going to aim for I'm going to go visual now, regardless of what it's saying, to put it on the Yeah, so the glide slope was wickedly out, wasn't it?
40, 30, 20, 10.
And we're down. So we can use the reversers.
80 knots. Power set.
And we'll roll along. There's no point hammering the brakes. We'll just let it roll. So while we're rolling in, we can go and turn on the APU. So I don't have custom scenery for Christchurch, so it's going to be the stock flight simulator buildings. So just looking at the notes, Mike was asking about reverse. I was using reverse. That's why I got the warning, because I got too slow at maximum reverse, and obviously there's the risk of ingesting rubbish into the engines if you do that. I think I've gone the wrong way here. Yeah, I have. Just going to correct that. That's what you get for not looking at the airport diagram. Okay, so put the generator on, and then we don't have to worry now about closing the engines down because we've got power from the APU. Although probably, if we look in here, can we get ground power? Yeah, we can do that as well anyway, so it wasn't really an issue. So to shut the engines down, we can just, and then you would go and turn off. This should have been done earlier, by the way, as soon as we came off the runway. And taxi lights can go off, nav lights can go off now. So interesting then, can we see what the passenger stuff looks like outside. Very good. And why are we hearing music? Presumably that's this system, isn't it? Yeah. So just in case you're wondering, I said about this earlier, so this switch up here, you can activate the door. It's all very cool. Same is true the other side, but obviously this has got nothing there at the moment. It's very good though. Right, should we go and power the aircraft down? So if you remember, there's the transformer rectifiers, there's the electrical power, there's the master battery switch here. If we go and turn the APU off, obviously we'll lose all power and it will go dead. With the door open. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there and I'll see you again soon. I'm pretty tired, it's been a long day. Went and ran 5k this morning and then did a day's work, then cut the lawn this afternoon, or this evening, sorry. It's been a bit of a day. See you again soon.